Good day, everyone. Welcome to the first part of Week 4 lecture on crisis management. Our topic today is situational awareness and intelligence requirements. At first, the phrase situational awareness may sound like something used only by the military, intelligence agencies, or emergency response teams. In reality, the concept applies to almost every environment where people have to make decisions under uncertainty. A hospital uses situational awareness. A police department uses situational awareness. An airport uses situational awareness. A university administration uses situational awareness. A business executive uses situational awareness. Even an ordinary driver uses situational awareness every day. When you are driving, you are constantly gathering information. You look at the road, the cars beside you, the traffic light, the weather, your speed, and perhaps even your GPS. You are not simply looking at information. You are deciding what that information means and what you should do next. That is essentially situational awareness. The slide describes this topic as a structured framework for decision-making under uncertainty. That is very important. In the real world, managers rarely receive complete information. A crisis does not wait until all facts are available. An emergency manager may hear that there is an explosion in a building, but initially may not know the cause. A company executive may know that a computer network is down, but may not yet know whether the cause is a technical failure or a cyber attack. A hospital administrator may know that patient admissions are increasing quickly, but may not yet know whether it is a temporary surge or the beginning of a larger public health emergency. The decision maker must still act. Therefore, the goal of intelligence analysis is not necessarily to eliminate uncertainty. The real goal is to manage uncertainty intelligently. The process typically begins with raw information. Raw information could be a phone call, an email, a social media post, a sensor alert, a news report, an eyewitness account, or a government advisory. But raw information alone is not yet intelligence. Information becomes useful intelligence when it has been collected, checked, analyzed, interpreted, and connected to a decision. Consider a simple example. Suppose someone says, "There is smoke near the warehouse." That is information. If we verify that 2 employees saw smoke coming from the eastern section of the warehouse, that information becomes more reliable. If we determine that the smoke is coming from an electrical room, that adds context. If we assess that the electrical fire could interrupt power to the entire facility, that becomes analysis. If management then decides to evacuate the warehouse and activate a backup distribution site, the intelligence has supported a decision. The important lesson is this: the value of information depends on whether it improves decision-making. Throughout this lecture, we are going to examine a disciplined method for moving from raw information to actionable intelligence. Slide 2, the intelligence cycle at a glance. The intelligence process should not be viewed as a single event. It is a continuous cycle. The slide identifies the stages as collect arrow, analyze arrow, synthesize arrow, brief. Let us examine each one. Collection means gathering relevant information. This might come from people, cameras, public sources, news reports, government agencies, internal systems, field personnel, social media, satellites, sensors, or databases. However, collecting more information does not automatically create better intelligence. A major problem today is actually information overload. Organizations may receive thousands of pieces of data every hour. The challenge is determining what is relevant. Imagine a security officer receives 500 notifications during a major event. Only 5 may actually be important. The ability to identify those 5 is more valuable than simply receiving all 500. Analysis means asking, what does this information mean? Suppose 10 customers suddenly complain that they cannot access their bank accounts. That is information. If analysts determine that all 10 customers use the same online banking platform, that creates a pattern. If system monitoring also shows unusual network activity, analysts may begin considering the possibility of a cyber incident. Analysis connects individual pieces of information. Synthesized synthesis means combining information from different sources into a coherent picture. For example, during a wildfire, emergency managers might combine weather conditions, wind direction, evacuation reports, fire department information, satellite imagery, road closures, hospital capacity. Individually, each source tells only part of the story. Together, they create an operational picture. Brief. The final stage is communicating intelligence to the person who must make the decision. This step is frequently underestimated. You may have excellent intelligence, but if you cannot communicate it clearly, the decision maker may not understand the situation. Imagine briefing a mayor during an emergency. The mayor probably does not need a 70-page intelligence report. The mayor needs to know what is happening, how serious is it, what do we know, what do we not know, what is likely to happen next, what decision is required. That is the purpose of briefing. Why the cycle repeats. The slide emphasizes that the cycle continues as conditions evolve. This is because situational awareness expires quickly. Information that was accurate at 9 a.m. may no longer be accurate at 10 a.m. For example, during a hurricane, roads may be open at one moment and flooded an hour later. Hospital capacity may change, power outages may spread, evacuation orders may change. Therefore, intelligence must be updated continuously. A useful analogy is navigation. Your GPS does not calculate one route and then stop monitoring conditions. If traffic changes, it recalculates. Situational awareness works in the same way. Slide 3, Foundation of Situational Awareness. What do I know? The first question in situational awareness is extremely simple. What do I know? However, answering that question correctly requires discipline. One of the most dangerous mistakes in crisis management is confusing what we know with what we heard. The slide separates information into 3 categories: confirmed facts, indicators, reported rumors. Let us distinguish them carefully. Confirmed facts. A confirmed fact is information that has been verified through reliable sources. Suppose we are managing a major building fire. A fire department officer confirms that the 3rd floor has been evacuated. Security camera footage independently shows employees leaving that floor. We now have strong evidence. The information can reasonably be treated as confirmed. The slide also emphasizes that confirmed facts should be time-stamped. Why? Because facts can become outdated. For example, Highway 101 is open. That statement may be true at 8:30 a.m. At 9:15 a.m., an accident could close the highway. Therefore, intelligence reports should often include time. Instead of writing Highway 101 is open. A stronger statement would be Highway 101 remained open as of 8:30 a.m. Now the reader understands the age of the information. Indicators. An indicator is something observable that may suggest a developing situation. An indicator does not necessarily prove anything by itself. Imagine several employees suddenly report that their computers are operating slowly. That alone does not prove a cyber attack. There could be many causes. But if other indicators appear, unusual network activity, login failures, unknown files appearing, security alerts, the combined pattern becomes more meaningful. Indicators are especially useful when tracked over time. One indicator may be weak. Multiple indicators moving in the same direction can become significant. Reported rumors. Rumors are unverified reports. This category is extremely important because analysts should neither automatically believe rumors nor automatically ignore them. Imagine someone posts on social media, "There is an active shooter at the shopping mall." That information may be false, but security officials cannot simply ignore it. They must verify it. The correct approach is unverified report of possible active shooter, verification underway. That wording protects the integrity of the intelligence process. Real-life example: Boston Marathon bombing. During rapidly developing incidents, such as the 2013 Boston Marathon bombing, enormous amounts of information circulated online. Some information was accurate, other information was incorrect. Social media users even incorrectly identified certain individuals as suspects. This demonstrates the danger of treating early reports as confirmed facts. The lesson is straightforward. Speed is important, but accuracy still matters. A fast, incorrect report can create more harm than a slightly slower verified report. Slide 4, closing the knowledge gap. What do I need to know? Once we establish what we know, the next question becomes, what do I need to know? This is where intelligence becomes focused. Nobody can collect every possible piece of information. We need to determine which missing information actually matters. The slide introduces critical information requirements, or CIRs. CIRs are questions whose answers could significantly change a decision or assessment. For example, imagine a company learns that a major hurricane is approaching one of its distribution centers. Management already knows the storm is approaching, the warehouse contains valuable inventory, employees may need to evacuate. But management still needs additional information. Important questions might include, when will hurricane force winds arrive? Are evacuation routes still open? Can inventory be moved in time? Is the backup warehouse operational? How many employees remain on site? These are meaningful knowledge gaps. Priority intelligence requirements. PIRs. PIRs represent the decision maker's most critical intelligence needs. The key word is priority. Suppose an emergency manager has 50 unanswered questions. Only a few may directly affect an immediate decision. For example, will flood water reach the hospital within the next 3 hours? That may be more urgent than, what is the estimated total property damage? Both questions matter, but the first question affects an immediate evacuation decision. Friendly force information requirements. FFIRs concern your own resources and capabilities. In business language, we can think of this as organizational self-awareness. For example, how many employees are available? How much inventory remains? How long can backup generators operate? How many hospital beds are available? How much cash liquidity does the company have? Organizations sometimes focus heavily on the external threat and forget to understand their own capabilities. Suppose a wildfire threatens a community. Knowing the fire's location is important. But leaders must also know how many fire engines are available, how many firefighters are available, where evacuation shelters are located. Essential elements of information, EE is, are specific pieces of information that help answer broader intelligence requirements. Suppose the question is, can we safely evacuate through Route A? Relevant EE might include, is Route A physically open? What is current traffic density? Is flooding present? Are bridges structurally safe? Is law enforcement controlling traffic? These are specific and measurable. A strong intelligence requirement should lead to an actionable answer. Slide 5, analytical judgment. What do I think? This slide represents the moment when analysts move beyond collecting facts and begin interpreting them. The question becomes, what do I think is happening? This is analytical judgment. There is an important distinction here. Facts and assessments are not the same thing. Suppose these are confirmed facts. 3 employees reported difficulty logging into the system. The security monitoring tool detected unusual traffic. The website is responding slowly. An analyst might assess, we believe the company is experiencing the early stages of a coordinated cyber attack. That is not yet a confirmed fact. It is an assessment. The analyst should label it appropriately. Confidence levels. The slide recommends using high confidence, medium confidence, low confidence. These labels communicate how strongly the available evidence supports the assessment. For example, we assess with high confidence that the outage originated from the primary data center. High confidence should mean strong supporting evidence. Another statement might be, we assess with low confidence that the incident was caused by a malicious actor. Low confidence tells the decision maker that significant uncertainty remains. State the assessment. Clearly, decision makers usually want the bottom line first. Instead of beginning with 15 minutes of background, an analyst might say, Our current assessment is that the fire will likely reach the Western Industrial Area within 4 hours. Then provide the supporting evidence. Explain the reasoning. After giving the conclusion, explain why. For example, wind direction is moving west. The fire expanded 5 miles during the previous 2 hours. Vegetation is extremely dry. Firefighting resources are limited. Now the decision maker can understand the logic. Flag alternatives. Strong analysts also consider alternative explanations. Suppose analysts believe a website outage is caused by a cyber attack. An alternative explanation might be ordinary technical failure. The analyst should ask, what evidence would support the alternative explanation? This reduces confirmation bias. Real-life example. Weather forecasting. Weather forecasting is a simple everyday example of analytical judgment. A meteorologist may say, there is a 70% chance of rain tomorrow. The meteorologist is not claiming certainty. The prediction is an assessment based on atmospheric pressure, humidity, radar, historical patterns, computer models. Intelligence analysis operates in a similar way. We make the best judgment possible using incomplete evidence. Slide 6, facts, assumptions, indicators, and uncertainty. This slide reinforces the need to classify information correctly. The categories are facts, assumptions, indicators, rumors, and uncertainty facts. Facts are verified pieces of information. They should be sourced and time-stamped. Example, the airport closed runway 2 at 3:15 p.m. That is factual if officially verified. Assumptions. An assumption is something we accept as true for planning purposes even though we do not yet have confirmation. For example, we assume the backup power generator can operate for 48 hours. If nobody has tested it recently, that remains an assumption. This distinction matters because assumptions can fail. Consider what happens if management plans an emergency response based on that 48-hour assumption and the generator actually has fuel for only 12 hours. The plan could collapse. Therefore, assumptions must be clearly stated and periodically tested. Indicators. Indicators suggest that something may be happening. Imagine a retailer notices sudden purchases of emergency supplies, increased demand for bottled water, customers buying batteries. These indicators may suggest that people expect a major storm. No single purchase proves anything. Together, the pattern becomes useful. Rumors and uncertainty. The goal is not to pretend uncertainty does not exist. The goal is to manage it. Managers often feel pressure to sound confident, but false confidence can be dangerous. If we do not know something, it is better to state, this remains unconfirmed. That is far stronger analytically than presenting speculation as fact. Example, COVID-19 early months. The early months of COVID-19 provide a powerful example of changing information. Health authorities and governments were dealing with incomplete knowledge regarding transmission, severity, effective protective measures, hospitalization rates, long-term effects. Some initial assumptions later changed as stronger evidence became available. This demonstrates why situational awareness must remain dynamic. Good analysis can change when better evidence arrives. Changing an assessment because new information appears is not a weakness. It is evidence that the analytical process is working. For the lecture of slides 7 to 12, please check Part 2.